When I was about, I want to say 7 or 8, Atari came out and my dad bought it for us. I thought I'd be playing it all night long. And he and his buddies played it more than I did. And it was the first time I'd ever seen my dad play a video game before. But when we finally did get to play it, the games that we loved were like Tank, Pong, Pac-Man. We had Pac-Man, and it looked absolutely nothing like the Pac-Man that the art in the arcades when you went. The games looked really awesome, even in the 80s. You know what I mean? The games looked sick. I thought because I got Pac-Man for the Atari, it would look like Pac-Man in the arcade, and it didn't. And also the Atari had so many problems, like if it got dusty, your games didn't work, so you'd have to blow on the games and bang the games and stuff like that. And then somebody got us an Atari, but like a computer Atari, and that had games on it also. And I got to play Pac-Man on that, and that Pac-Man looked just like the arcade. I remember when the first Game Boy came out, and I was like, wow, this is really awesome. You could play Super Mario Brothers. And it kind of looks like the Nintendo, but it's just black and white. I've been a video game junkie since I was a kid. My babysitter, to pass time, would take us to the arcade, and we would play stuff like Pac-Man. And that was back in the day when you had to put the quarter on the machine to, you know, prove you had either next or after whomever was up there. And if there was a bully in the arcade, they'd just take your quarter.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
I remember one time my brother and I were playing hooky from school, and we thought, what's the safest place to go when playing hooky? And we thought the arcade, not knowing that that's where cops look first. And so we got put in a paddy wagon and taken down to the station, and it was not a fun experience. And I think that was the last time I went to an arcade as a youth by myself, because I was scared that the cops were gonna take me to jail. Games got better fast, it seems like. It seems like when I was, before I made it to my teens, everything was it didn't look as great as the games did in the arcade. But by the time Nintendo came out, things started getting a lot better. And now forget about it, Who goes to the arcade anymore? For what? You could play all of those games at home on your PC, on your computer, on your Mac. You could even play video games on your Mac now, you know what I mean? The games that you played on your first Xbox, you can now play on the Mac. So, games have come a long way. And I remember there was another one, I forget, I guess it was a Nintendo 64, and then they came out with the graphic card that you put in the back of the Nintendo. And, I got to play games like Rebel Alliance and really cool games. It'd be great if there was something that, you actually stepped inside of the video game instead of having to play it on a monitor. It'd be cool to actually be inside the world, and everything you do in the world works in the video game. I probably, they're trying to do it with Wii and, Connect and all of that stuff, but it'd be great to just put on something, or maybe even a room just turns into something and you're now inside a video game. So yeah, I think most games nowadays there's a form of art in them, the background, how big the worlds are. To be able to do that, you have to be an artist. The design of the characters, you kind of have to be an artist now to create really good video games, or video games that people want to watch. A game that I'm playing right now is Skyrim, and it's beautiful to watch. It's a lot of fun to play, but it's also beautiful to watch. I guess the technology, you could say, is science, but in a lot of ways, it's definitely art. Where do I see video games in 50 years? Wow. They're definitely going to be more interactive. I think, the internet, for one, is, it's expanding every day. So, and games on the internet are getting better and better and better. We're starting to get into next generation video game systems. If you thought, I didn't think graphics could get any better, but apparently they can. It'll be like playing maybe you know, your favorite CGI movie in 50 years. Maybe, you know what I mean? When I was a kid, Dragon's Lair was a huge game for me. And I thought that was really cool that cartoons could move. Maybe, you know, maybe it's the next level. Maybe if you go right, it doesn't mean you get attacked by the skeletons munching on your body and stuff. Maybe you go right and something different happens. Maybe there's, you know what I mean? I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know how video games will look in 50 years. I hope I'm around to see it because it seems like it'll be really exciting, especially with how fast, you know, how fast technology is moving right now in the video game world. It's the same thing. Video games tell us, all video games now, all role-playing games at least tell a story. And, you know, some video games are just as good to play and watch as movies are. You know, I'm the Dragonborn right now in Skyrim, you know what I mean? And excuse me, and instead of doing all of the dragon quests, I'm just going around trying to take out all of the dungeons and stuff and knock that down and become however high of a level character I can become. You know, one of my favorite games ever is Grand Theft Auto 4, and 5's about to come out, and I'm really excited about that because the world is supposed to be, you know, bigger than Red Dead Redemption, which was a huge world, bigger than San Andreas, which was a huge world, bigger than Grand Theft Auto 4, which was a huge world. It's supposed to be as big as those worlds combined, you know, all those worlds combined. It's supposed to be that big. And that's amazing. I think it's great that video games have that much memory and can, you know, that used to be a problem. You'd buy a game for the PC and you didn't have enough memory and you'd have to go out and buy all these little chips to put in your system to play like games like X-Wing Alliance and stuff like that, which was one of my favorite games. And for some reason now, if I want to play X-Wing Alliance, I can't because graphic cards have gotten too sophisticated, which is really weird, but that's how it goes. But I'll tell you this. The storytelling is just as good as movies. It's just as good as reading a book. You know, that's why you can get lost in these video games for hours and hours and hours and hours and not even realize you've been playing for that long. The other great part about being, you know, playing video games is you get to be a different character than you are in real life, and you get to escape all of whatever it is that's going on in your world, and you zone into your television and your controller, and you become whoever you're playing, you know. And I think there's something really important about that, and that is being able to, you know, unwind. You know, you touched on it when we were younger. It was sitting around a campfire and telling stories and stuff like that. Or you know, my parents reading a book to me before I went to sleep, just so that when I went to sleep, I could dream about something cool. You know what I mean? Now you can play video games. You don't even need to dream about how cool stuff is. You could play video games and escape into this dream world, into this cyber world, if you will, and have just as cool. You know, it's like watching somebody's dreams on television. It's a fantasy. It's, you know, whatever it is your game. You know, you might not ever be able to play baseball in your life, but you can play baseball on your video game console, or basketball, or, you know, there are guys that wish they were in the NFL, and Madden is just the thing for them. You know, if you're a golf fan, Tiger Woods has a golf game that's pretty realistic, and it's a lot of fun to play. So, you know, you can always figure out a way to escape into a video game. And whereas before, you know, you needed a little bit more imagination, which, you know, is great. It's still important for, I think, humans to imagine new worlds and, you know, imagine themselves in, you know, a better environment or whatever it may be. But I think video games help. I love video. I was brought up on video games, and so I think that's why I love them. There were times when I didn't want to play video games anymore. But technology has grown so much in the video game world that, you know, I'm so attracted to, like, when I was a kid, this is so far off subject, but when I was a kid, I loved Star Wars, right? And I loved it because it was looking at something that, you know, was so far away, and I realized I'd never be able to witness the actual things that were going on in the movie in my lifetime. And that's the same thing with video games, you know what I mean? I'll never fight a dragon in real life. If dragons come back, if dragons ever existed, you know what I mean? Are you kidding me? That would be one, scary, two, really cool also, but it's not gonna happen, and we all know it's not gonna happen, right? So, you know, there's something about escaping into a video game that I love, and that's why I really love video games. I was also brought up on it, like I said, like that, from when I was a kid to now. I'm 39 now, and I still play video games. Maybe a little too much. My wife, you know, my wife is kind of like my mom when it comes to video games now. She tries to regulate how much I play, which is great, because we got a lot of things going on with in our lives right now, and I can't, I don't want to neglect that.
That's awesome. Anything else you'd say to the gamers out there? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, keep gaming, because eventually you're gonna you can make so much money eventually, or you will make so much money eventually, playing video games or creating video games, and it all comes from knowing how to play video games and knowing what works in the video game world. My son is a huge gamer right now. He loves playing video games. If he could do it professionally and make a lot of money, if it meant winning, that's how you make a lot of money, he'd do really well. And maybe one day that'll be it. Maybe tournaments will air on television and stuff. Maybe graphics will get so good that people who don't play video games will just like to watch, other people playing video games. Like that's a buddy of mine said this to me the other day, because I told him, I was like, I got Skyrim. He was like, you're really late on it. I was like, yeah, I'm really late on it. And he was like, well, it's gonna take over your life. And I was like, it's already started. He was like, no, dude, people used to be like, yo, we never see you anymore, why don't you come out? And I'd be like, no, why don't you come over? I'm gonna be playing Skyrim the whole time, but you could totally drink beer and watch me play.